Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, which I'm going to teach you. So there's a riff that starts with the 3rd fret of the E string, and then it's A, an open string, and what you're going to do is you're going to actually do what's called a hammer-on. You're going to go... So there's a hammer-on in this riff, and what I'm doing is I'm slamming my finger onto the 2nd fret of the A string after I play the A. So here's a hammer-on. See what I'm doing there? I'm not even plucking it with my right hand. I'm just letting my finger actually make the 2nd note by slamming it like that. That's the opening sequence of the riff, is 3 hammer-on, open D, and then 2nd fret of the D string. And that lands on this chord, basically, which is an E minor 7 chord. And you're going to strum that for a bit. And then you're going to play the 2nd fret of the D, which is 2nd fret of the D, open G, 2nd fret of the D, open D. That's the 2nd half of this. So the first half is... And then... Dun, 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 dun. And it's the same thing. You keep your ring finger and your pinky on the same spot. This riff is basically anchored around those fingers, this one and your pinky being right here on the 3rd fret of the E string and the 3rd fret of the B string. So keep those there the whole time, and that way you'll be able to cycle through. Let me do that again. And then, towards the end of the sequence, nice, thanks for subscribing, Pradeep, I appreciate it. The very tail end of this riff, you're here, and you're actually going to go 2nd fret of the D, open D, 2nd fret of the A, open A, and that's going to give you a new chord, which is an A sus 4/7 chord. A suspended add 7 chord. That's what that should be, I think. But that's what's going to happen at the end of this whole riff. Da 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 da. That's just 2 open on D and then 2 open on A. And then you form this A suspended 7 chord. It's index finger on the 2nd fret of the D, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G, 4th finger's gonna, or actually ring finger's gonna go on the 3rd fret of the B, and then you got a pinky there at the very bottom there, and that creates A, sus 4/7. Then it goes right back into G. Creep strum pattern for acoustic, close to original. Thank you, Vicky. Yeah, I think the strumming pattern is for Creep is probably pretty similar to the original. I'm gonna finish up with the chords to Wish You Were Here, since we just did the riff. Okay, so the chords for Wish You Were Here are G, and then we go into the verse by doing a C chord. So you think you can tell? It's a D major chord. Heaven from hell. Then we go to A minor. A minor is built around your index finger being on the 1st fret of the B, and then your middle finger goes on the 2nd fret of the D string. Your ring finger goes right underneath that. So here's what an A minor looks like, as you can see. And it's the 3rd chord in the sequence of Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. So let's do it. So you think you can tell? Heaven from hell, A minor. Blue skies from pain, back to the G. Can you tell a green field? Then we go up to the D major. From a cold steel rail. Then we're in A minor. A smile from a veil. Up to the C chord. And then, do you think you can tell? So it's going to use that cycle over and over again. D major, A minor, C, and then G. And then it's going to go into that same opening riff. And if you had somebody who was playing guitar with you and wanted to do the solo, the way to do that is you put your middle finger on the 2nd fret and you go, that's the opening of that solo, is middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G, slide up to 4, use your index to play the 3rd fret of the B, and then you can do a pull-off from the 5th fret of the E. This is where we're getting into like advanced guitar, so we're going to just do this for 1 second and then go back to the chords. And then the cool part of this is the part where he does the double slide. He's got his index finger on the 3rd fret of the B and the 3rd fret of the E, and he does this. So what's happening there? It's a slide up from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret, and then a slide back down. So and then you're going to have your index finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, middle finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the B string, and you're going to slide that up like this. So it's kind of like, it's kind of a cool little sequence there that David Gilmour does for Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. But we won't get too into that. We're going to show you the chords for this chorus here, because after that guitar solo, they're just going to linger on G for a little bit. And then, here comes the chorus. It's C. How I wish you were here. Goes to the D major. We're just two lost souls living in a fishbowl. That's A minor. Year after year. That's the G chord. And then it just repeats that. Running over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fear. I wish you were here. So that is how you play Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here.